This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, beautiful people, you wonderful stars of the morning. Today I have my lovely friend Jovita on. This show, this program, this channel, what have you, it's not just for the enlightened ones. It's not just for those that want to go deep into spirituality. It's also a platform for anyone that has a lot of knowledge that is beneficial to others. I will gladly have you on. And that's why I have this lovely Jovita sitting across from me. She is she's very high up in marketing, in my opinion, and has lots of information. So this is going to be a show for people that, okay, you got to get back in the workforce. How do you kind of re-present yourself? You want to take your side hustle up and onward. How do you do that? Just all these little things that are beneficial for the spiritual community as well as all of us right now. We have come out of a crazy time period and we're headed into even more of a crazy time period. And I think we're all wanting to more follow our heart. So how do we do that when the world wants us to brand our heart, right? So Joe, guys, her name is Jovita. I'm going to call her Joe because Joe and I have been besties in a way for many moons now. We won't talk about age. That's not what we do. So Miss Joe, first of all, can you just tell us a little bit? I'm going to follow up with my awakening question just in case, just because I'm curious. But can you give people just a little bit of your credentials in the marketing field?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I graduated from the University of Missouri, go Mizzou, with a degree in journalism from the J School. So background has, always been more writing, I guess, if you will. But I actually specialized in advertising, which when you think about journalism, you automatically think broadcast or, I'm writing for a newspaper or radio station. You go through all of those things, but I kind of liked advertising just because I'm more of a behind the scenes type of person. And it's just interesting. I'll never forget sitting in, her name was Miss Bixby. She was the first teacher I had that actually, got me into thinking about advertising. And it, she started talking about like the kind of psychoanalytics, like what makes people tick and why do people gravitate, to certain things and certain brands, just even down to like the color that you use, and how that can be appealing. So it kind of like sparked my interest. I'm like, oh,
you like the psychological stuff of it. Nice.
Yeah.
And didn't you, after graduation, I'm not sure I can't remember what your first job was, but then you went to work for Wrigley, Spearmint Gum, right?
Wrigley was actually, Wrigley was the first large client that I had, but on, working at an agency. So they were our client. Okay. And I worked on everything. It was kind of like to kind of come into the ad world I was an account executive at that time. So, kind of at the lower level, I really got to work on a lot of things from, radio spots to TV spots to, billboards, out of home billboards ads that you see when you're driving, wherever, print ads that you see in your magazines. So I was really able to get kind of this 360 experience at a very entry level job. Nice. And meet a lot of people, a lot of interesting people. I worked on the Hispanic side of things, which has always been my passion, as you know. Yeah. I wanted to, get into that market because that's part of who I am and it's my culture. And so, I worked with a small team and we became like a, family.
So
I met my husband through there too.
you
So
did meet your husband, who is also, right, guys, this is, I mean, they are a power couple in the marketing industry. Your husband, just to put it out there, so I mean, gosh, the wealth of knowledge in that couple is amazing. Your husband is a uh, art director, right? And he's won awards for marketing, if
yes,
memory serves
he's
me.
he's won awards. Yeah, he won a Cannes Lion, a bronze Cannes Lion. That was it's pretty
Yeah.
big in
Yeah,
the ad
like his
world.
commercials are on the Super Bowl. So like this couple, I'm talking to
Yep,
one.
yep.
But your position now, what's your position now? What have you moved yourself up to an experience level?
Sure. So I I work on the opposite side now. So I started in the ad business, servicing clients like Wrigley Gum,
Yeah.
and on the account side. So managing the account, and that's anything from like budgets, client meetings, kind of being the glue between, our creative team and the client,
Okay.
and building that relationship and things
Yeah.
like that, putting what we call briefs together, which um,
Can we
is
talk about briefs, people? I have no idea. Keep going, Joe. Where are you at now? What's your title now? Aren't you a
I'm a senior marketing manager. So
oh, geez.
yeah, so I now am the client.
Oh,
So
now
I
you're the client.
I yeah, I flipped basically. So, I had been in the ad business for like over 10 years, and then COVID hit, and they couldn't keep me anymore
Yeah.
because people were, cutting budgets and things. So I
Yeah.
lost my job,
Yeah.
and that was really hard. That was 6 months of just
Yeah.
like, you want to talk about getting back out in the market. I
Yeah.
mean, I am a prime example. I had
Yeah.
been with one company for 10 years. Um, and it's like, oh God, I haven't been on an interview 10 years plus ago. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
it's different, than
Yeah.
what it was like 10 years ago. So it was, yeah, relearning and how to get yourself back out there, how to put a resume together, things like that.
Joe, because we're
Yeah,
just moving ahead, I'm going to hold my awakening question to the end
sure.
because you just jumped into how do people do that? Because so, sweetheart, I mean, it's not just you. I was there with you when you lost your job. It was devastating. I
Mhm.
I fully
Yeah,
remember. And of course, my awkward self is like, everything's gonna be beautiful, everything's groovy, man. Um, um, but that is very hard. And there's a lot of people now who either they have to do that and they're still working towards trying to do that, or they have decided, yeah, I did this for the past 10 years. I literally just can't do it anymore. Now that my body sat for a minute, I'm realizing how bad my body's breaking down because of the job I'm doing, or whatever it may be.
yeah,
Or the needing, because we live in unpredictability, flexibility with having kids, or whatever the situation may be. And we
right.
did have that huge, I mean, it was the biggest ever of resignation, the big
Yeah,
resignation. And I think that was multiple parts. It was people retiring early. It was people actually moving about in jobs. Like, yeah, they might have quit here, but that's because they knew they were going to start over there in 3 weeks.
mhm,
We're just not seeing that part.
mhm.
Or people, yeah, like I'm just going to focus on my side hustle or whatever it may be.
Yep,
But now we're kind of looking at that time period of, okay, the world kind of gave us allowance to do that and to move about, you know what I mean? But
yep,
now the world might not be giving us that allowance. So what
right.
do we do? Like, let's say just a resume. Let's just
Yep.
talk about resumes right now. I haven't written a resume for myself. I don't even know how long. I have
Mhm.
not done it in a very long time. And every time I seem to go do something new, and like, you Google, um, it it shows me like this whole new thing. It seems like this everything. I don't even know what they're supposed to look like anymore. I really don't. I mean, my last one I did, I think I'm just gonna stick to it, and well, they don't like it. They don't like it. I don't know. That's how I roll. But that's not how everybody should roll.
Right.
So how's a resume even supposed to look? Like,
Um,
should it be flashy? Should it be? Because now it's like paragraphs, and I'm like, what do you do?
Yeah. It depends, so I think it depends, right? Like for my profession, for what I have experience in,
Yeah.
it is not flashy. Um, if you take like my husband, he's a creative
Oh,
director. He
right,
has a portfolio, right? He's got
right,
work he shows. So you
right.
have to think of it like in that way. I would say for the most part, keep it simple.
So should we
I would,
still
you
use
know,
like bullet points? Because like
yes.
at some point, I will say at some point in the early 2000-ish, it was like, no, put a paragraph of your best achievements. And this, so we're going back to very quick bullet points.
Yeah, you can
And
do like a summary, like an intro, but it again, short and sweet. I actually hired a resume writer because
oh,
again, like I didn't know, and I thought this is probably what I should do based on like what I had known in the past.
right.
And
10
I
years
mean,
before. Yeah,
yes,
right.
10 years before, and he basically slashed it, and he was like, too much. You want one page. If you
One,
want like a
oh,
little
see, we're
intro.
back to one page.
Yes, girl. Yes. Yes, because again, you have so much I have so much experience. I could have probably had a resume that was like 5 pages long,
Right.
right? Of everything that I've done.
Yeah.
Companies don't care about everything, right? They want to understand, can I put my trust in you? Have you done something in your past experience that have led things? What has your success been? Right? Like
Oh, okay.
concrete numbers. How do you demonstrate that you've led people, that you've been able
Oh,
to kick off a project and actually led it from start to finish successfully? How do you demonstrate that? In my position, have you saved the company money?
yeah, 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 yeah. Right.
Demonstrated that in
They
that
all
way,
love hearing that. Yeah.
right? At the end of the day,
So it's
it's a business.
more, it's not the little minutia that we know how to do. It's
No,
the this is the quality worker I am. This is my
yes,
integrity. This is you can trust me. This is what I can offer to you as
right,
far as outcomes, as far as saving money, as far as
right,
more
right,
so it's more personable. It's
yes.
more
How do you demonstrate
this is
your
me as the
value?
quality worker I am, not so much the knowledge I have or the skills I have. This is the quality individual I am.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Results. What are your results? What can you
Wow.
demonstrate? Hey, I did this. This resulted in this. Companies want to see that, right? They want
Wow.
to know, yes, you're experienced. Yes, I can give you how have you solved a challenge or a problem,
Wait,
right?
but we don't put that on a resume. That's in an interview. Or do
Well,
we?
yes, but like, how do you demonstrate? What I mean is like your
Yeah, yeah.
success points, right? Your
Right.
success points, right? When you get into an interview, they're going to ask you tell me about this project you worked on. And it seems like, there was profit here. You were able to maybe, save the company X, Y, and Z here. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay, so it
Were there
really
any
is just
challenges yeah.
bullet points that can lead to an interview, but on the
Mhm.
resume, you've got to be just bullet points of, the project in '02, you know, for like, I don't know, like let's say I'm running an event, okay, because
Mhm.
I am in September.
Mhm.
Um, but then later on, I have to demonstrate that on a resume.
Mhm.
It would be in, the September event, X amount of part, vendors, or this was the budget that I worked with, and this was the outcome, like that type of thing. Like this was the budget, and this is how many people came through the door for that event.
Right. How many people participated? How many
Yeah,
people did you reach?
yeah,
Did you lead teams?
right, right.
Um,
Okay,
what were the results off of that?
okay.
Off of that specific event, right? And so,
Wow.
again, it's not only demonstrating, oh, I manage the, this daily budget spreadsheet, you know what I mean? Like you're doing a task, right? They don't
Yeah,
care about that shit.
right,
Um, they want to
right.
see, okay, yeah, you manage the budget. Okay. And actually I was able to save the company X, Y, and Z, or, how do you implement something new? Did
That's
you work
okay. So
on?
we're gonna move on from this, but for
Yeah.
everyone for like laymen like me, oh, this is new. Um, I'm taking it in as like back in the day, they did want to know, how to use spreadsheets, how to do
Mhm,
this, how to do that.
mhm.
That now should just be implied,
Yes.
assumed by
Yes.
you stating these are the outcomes that I produce. This is what I do, because all that stuff should be assumed now in today's world. That
Yes.
that kind of changes the look and feel and the do you believe, this is going to be my last question about resume, should there be like an element of personal touch on it, or because see, here's the thing too, in today's world, I don't even know if you actually still write cover letters. I have no idea.
You do.
You do? Okay.
You do. Yep. You do. And
Okay.
I think that's, again, that's where you can kind of share a little bit of, who you are, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you're
yeah.
a person. What is your passion?
Right.
Why are you in this business? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so with that, you're able to give a little bit more, of who you are.
Right.
But, again, at the end of the day, it's really about demonstrating, like I said, what are those results, the success drivers
Yeah.
that you have executed, that you've been able to bring your past companies, your past work through, in a way that,
Implies
this company
implies
you're,
that you know all the other little stuff. Yeah.
yes, implies that, but also like, how do you stand out, right?
Yeah.
How do you stand out? It isn't like it was 10 years ago. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
If
it,
you knew computer stuff 10 years ago, man, that was huge. You know what I
yes.
mean? That's why
Yeah.
that's why I didn't go far. No, I'm joking.
Oh, girl,
Um,
you are in other ways. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yes. Oh, I go far. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
okay, very cool. I'm hoping that helps people because it always. So let's remember, now it's back to just one page because they don't even want to print anything out. Hell, they just want to scroll it on their phone or their pad in front of you.
Mhm.
Wow. Um, very quick bullet points about how you are the best badass at what happens. Don't care about the little minutia.
Yep.
This is what I can do for you. You
Yes.
really got to sell yourself there. So let's talk about moving from that into, let's say, I got a little side hustle, or I had a side hustle before, the past couple of years. And it was
Mhm.
just a little thing that I sell oils or I sell rocks or maybe I read tarot. This is my department that we're talking about, I guess. Or even just any side, like we have our other bestie, she has that clothing line she sells from.
Mhm.
So how do you, we're moving out of resume into, like, let's just use me for an example. I didn't even have Stars in the Morning Light, but I always did stuff kind of on the side. And then
Mhm.
COVID hit, and I was like, okay, now I gotta do something. Like now I actually have to do this. But it's also mixed in, guys. There are energies at play right now trying to induce us to follow our heart, to follow what we should be doing. And Stars of the Morning Light is what I should be doing. It's a full metaphysical, spiritual resource platform. That, but when I went to start, I did have a lot of conversations with Joe here, because I never had to brand anything in my life. And I'm still learning. I'm still working on things. I don't even know what to say. Where would people even start, Joe? Like where would people even start?
You know, I think it's like anything, you know what I mean? Like you have to put a plan together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you trying to do? What is your objective, right? You have to start from the foundation up.
Okay. Do you
What
think
do you
people
want?
should build on their objectives? Like, okay, Courtney's objective for Stars of the Morning Light is to be massive. No. But no, like I have certain goals that I do want to hit. Like and especially if it's YouTube related, you want to start a channel or this, you're like the goal, like they already lay out your goals for you. You need 500 subscribers to do anything. Then you need another 1,000 subscribers to do anything more. You know what I mean? They lay it out for you. This is your objective. But then, I have all my other side business, all my other, things going on. That, do you think people should look at, because speaking of myself and a lot of people, we see the whole grand scope. We go, this is where I am now. I want to be making this. This is me fully successful and joyous and free. We don't see these little benchmarks oftentimes along the way. So do you think when somebody's putting a plan together, have the big ultimate goal kind of out there and focus on like the first benchmark, or should be kind of a mix and overlay? I mean, I'm not sure. I know.
Yeah, it's, I would say, yes, your ultimate goal, you always want to have it at the back of your mind, right?
Yeah.
Defining that goal, I think, can be either you know it or you're like, ooh, I don't know where to start. And so
mine is to be appeared on George Norrie, Coast to Coast AM. I've had that goal since I was 10 years old. That's it.
Well, girl, I mean, yeah,
that's it.
You already know.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, how do you build up to that?
Yeah, exactly. I know George Norrie, who's been doing this kind of thing since before I was born. So like, how do you get to that? But that's my goal. Other people's goal is to take maybe the income that they lost, replace it, and build from there. So with branding, let's take our girlfriend who sells clothes. She does it as a side hustle. It's already kind of attached to something. Well, shoot, we can't actually use her. Let's say you're an herbalist. Okay, let's just roll with that. And you make your own teas, oils, products, right? We all love it. From start, like the name, how important is a name for your business?
I mean, I think it's definitely very important. It represents who you are, who your business, what you're selling is. So how do you, come up with something meaningful, but also something that can be understood too in that same sense.
Yeah.
Right. Of what it is that you might be marketing and selling. You can think of it in that way too. And then establishing kind of like the look, right? Like the colors you use. If there's a logo that, you are coming up with or working with somebody to come up with. All of those.
Well, let's talk about logos for a minute.
Yeah.
that's actually kind of a difficult thing. It is. It's actually, who knew? And I don't really, who knew that was going to be difficult? I don't even
Yeah.
really have a logo for Stars of the Morning Light. I mean, I got my nice picture and my name, but I don't
Mhm.
really have a logo for it.
Mhm.
Um, Whatever. It'll come, I guess, eventually, or not. I
Yep.
see, guys, this is how most people are. But I will say, I just worked with Dom. If you're listening, I love you, buddy. A guy that I met on Instagram who's up by, I think he's in Brooklyn. I hope I said the right place. Um, Dom is a graphic artist who that's not what he does as a profession, but his art is amazing. He's trying to get into that. And he's like, Courtney, I'll do one for you pro bono. Love
Mhm.
Dom. He's actually one of the key players that got me started on YouTube.
Yeah.
Um, but this whole past week, we were going back and forth about this logo for the event in September.
Mhm.
So difficult. And you know what? I by the end, by the time Dom and I got done yesterday, I was like, we're done. It is what it is. It's perfect. It's beautiful. We're done. You're done. I'm done. It's gonna be what it is.
Yeah.
And but for most people, that's nerve wracking. That is so difficult. So how do you? I mean, this is probably actually more of a question for your husband, who's an art director, but
Mhm.
how do you come up with it? Because now logos are just like little bubbles in a screen.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we think of logos like on billboards or signs. No,
Yeah.
now they're just these little,
Yeah.
thumbnails.
Yes. Little
How
thumbnails.
how should people wrap their heads around that?
Well, I mean, if let's talk about like, okay, if you're an herbalist, right, and you're selling product, right, what are the colors that you would want to use? What is the representation that you would want that you think that from the products that you're putting out there that maybe you want to incorporate within that logo, right? So when I think of like herbs, I think of green, I think of plants, even, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like, and so
nature.
you can
Yeah.
kind of start to craft those things around, okay, I want this is what I'm thinking, right? I want these color schemes. I want it to kind of embody this. I may not know how to do that. And granted, not everybody is a graphic artist, right?
No.
But those those are things that maybe it's the colors that you start off with. Maybe it's just that,
Colors and concepts.
if you
Now,
don't have any other means like to do, a logo like that, maybe that's the beginning is you start to put the color scheme together. You kind of lay that out so that maybe eventually when you get to that point and you're getting to know more people, such as
yeah,
yourself, you now have a graphic, artist friend that did it pro bono, which is great.
yeah.
You kind of have this vision already established. And that's what I mean by like a plan.
Oh, so we're already kind of starting the plan aspect. So
Absolutely, because it's your brand, right? You know what I mean? Like it's
how do you
y-
want to represent yourself and your product? Because I
for
think that's
sure.
it too. Like our products are attached to the business owner. Like Stars of the Morning Light is attached to me. It is very much Courtney McMahon.
Hmm.
All of it
Yeah,
is me.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I have a question though. One more thing about like the logo aspect. So let's
Hmm.
say we are herbalist. And we're trying to, yes, we all think nature, leaves, brown, beiges, green, earth tones.
Hmm.
But I have a question. So does all the other herbalists.
Hmm.
Do you as in everybody that's thinking this way, should we be thinking, oh no, to stand out, go radical and like be like skull and crossbones, I sell herbs, yeah. Or Or do you stay with the same palette as everyone else so it's not jarring to possible customers?
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
Is there a balance in that?
there probably is a balance. You definitely, when you're looking at it from a product standpoint, you definitely want to stand out. You want to have your uniqueness in that self. And what I mean by that is, greens and other things like that, nature colors that maybe other brands are using. Is there some twist that you can add to that,
Right.
that kind of sets you apart? Because I think you don't want to be so extreme where it's like people are like, wait, you're an herbalist, but like this,
But you're
like,
all punk rock about it. Yeah.
yeah, it just doesn't feel, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Um,
because
so
it's not like we're talking about like sneakers, right?
right.
For example, where it's like, oh yeah, you want something that it uses all these like rainbow, colors and like very
Oh,
vibrant. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
trying to also represent, right, the product that you're
Healing,
selling.
health, yeah. So,
So, mhm,
so like, let's say everybody has plants and you're looking at everybody locally. First, maybe locally, that would be, I'm assuming that would be a part of the plan as well, local,
mhm,
and
mhm,
then branching out. But like, let's say everybody has plants or the tree of life. The tree of life is very popular. You know what I
mhm,
mean? What if you
mhm.
just stick a big old butterfly right in the middle of it? Is that like the type of thing to be like, yeah, oh, tree of life with a big old butterfly, cool. You know, because it's, I don't know, guys, she's the expert at trying to tell us to keep it simple and keep it relatable, keep it, understandable. I just, it's so hard coming up with that sort of thing that represents that represents the product, but also separates you
Right,
from the competition.
right, right. Yes, it can be challenging. For sure. And
Yeah,
that's not just, it's something that you're trying to build yourself. That's like any product,
yeah.
companies are putting out, because to your point, if you have competitors that are offering the same thing, it's the sea of sameness.
The sea of sameness.
Yes. The sea
Whoa,
of
is that an
sameness.
industry term? Like,
It is.
I've never heard that before, and
It
that
is.
just scared me.
Yeah,
I'm a
the
little
sea of
scared. I'm
sameness.
pulling back. Okay. Woo.
But it's a
Um,
challenge I face every day when you're doing product launches, when you're coming up with we call them, here's another industry term, reasons to believe. Your RTBs,
RTB.
which can be your message pillars. What does your product stand for,
Whoa.
right? What are the key messages that you want to be communicating about your product? The
I
features
hope
and
everybody's
benefits.
taking notes. Like,
So, for example, I'm sure, there are many, you were consumers, right? You
yeah,
go to any store, you can probably see several different brands that are probably giving you the same thing, right?
yeah,
And so you can look at it from that aspect too. There are certain same things that they're communicating on, and that might be inevitable, right? Like those are definite things that you need to have like with that particular product,
yeah.
right? That's a
Right,
given.
right.
But is there one thing that maybe you bring to the table that others don't?
Oh,
And that can be a service. Maybe not think of it as a way, of just the product.
yeah. How it's
Maybe
made as well. Like where it's made. I don't.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that can go into all sorts of things. But so you definitely want to use that to stand out a bit.
for sure. And I think that's when, you're looking at the landscape, right? Because you always have to be aware of, okay, who is out in that marketplace right now?
Right,
What am I going up against?
right.
Because I can't just go
Wow.
blindly into this, and you should be looking
Right.
at your competition.
Ooh.
That's how you learn.
Okay, well, this is just a Courtney thing. I can't stand having to do that. I just literally can't stand, because can't we all just get along? Like,
No, not if
but
you have
the
goals,
professional
girl.
here is telling me, no, Courtney, you actually do have to do that. If you want to be on George Norrie, be with Coast to Coast one day, you have to look at your competition. If you want to get more clients, you have to look at your competition. And that part, I will say, Joe, for a lot of people is very hard, because we do want it to be that it doesn't exist. That those, I will say, a little spot for me. Joe at the beginning kept saying demonstrate during your resume, demonstrate. She's saying demonstrate again. Demonstrate and manifest are the exact same definition. It can be. I have a whole video on it.
Yeah.
So we're also manifesting when we're demonstrating. I just wanted to make that very clear to people.
Yes.
Joe, let's move on from logo for a minute. Okay, wow. Name. Name needs to stand out. Logo needs to stand out. Maybe what sets your product apart from other products needs to stand out. You said principles of your company, or what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The reasons to believe, like your message pillars, right?
I'm
Like
writing that down. Reasons to believe.
we call them RTBs in my world. But what are those things around your product, around your service, whatever it is, right? That are key for your customers. You want to make sure you're
For them
building
to
your
trust you and believe in you. Reasons to believe.
right reasons to believe.
See,
You're
I
building.
care more about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you're defining, okay, the reasons to believe, those benefits, they may be features of your product, and the message pillars around that. How are you taking that information and putting it into a key message for your customers in a way that is meaningful to them, right? You are providing them a product or a service.
How many of those pillars do you think an average, like, small business to become bigger business need? How many of those message key pillars?
It depends. It depends. It really depends on, I've seen anywhere from 2 to 4. You don't want a
That's what I
whole lot,
figured. You don't want a whole
right?
lot.
Because
Yeah.
again, those messages, there needs to be a common thread through that, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise you're making up all these different messages and there's no really
Continuity, or people get lost in the too many.
consistency, right?
Yeah.
You got to be consistent.
Consistent.
Absolutely, because you want to be recognizable. You know what I mean? You want
Right.
to have a consistent message. You're
Right.
not confusing the consumer saying this and then, the next day you're saying something else, right? That can also cause distrust.
Yeah.
What lane are you in, right? Like, how can I trust you if your message is like all over the place, right? Like,
And I think like, take mine for example. Yeah, Courtney's goal for Stars of Morning Light is to be on George Norrie Coast to Coast AM. But along the way, my main focus for my business is the care of people and messages and this and that. We all know that. You guys know me. So that should be a part of the plan too. If we have this big ultimate goal, that all those my main message is for people. It's to love on people, heal people, teach people, it's all about community. It's all people. So if that's my main message, but my goal is to appear on George Norrie, that's my personal goal.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's my personal goal that's attached to business goal.
Yep.
Because that's like the epitome of, oh wow, you've done pretty darn good, Court. You know what I mean? You've helped enough people, because that to me is the outcome of you've gotten the message out long enough to so many people, now you're here. You know what I mean? That can people see it in that representation as well? Like some people, like in this line of work, if they go to, I don't know, whatever expose, they've made it. Even in your line of work, little businesses, and it's like, oh, I just made it to the expo of the century. That means we made it. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's something like that, all that planning though also needs to represent that continuity theme. Mine is service to others, always. You know what I mean? That theme needs to stay intact to be able to reach the final goal.
Definitely. And that doesn't mean that you can't evolve, right?
Right.
But if you look at any kind of long-standing brand, there's like product. There's definitely things that it's that underlying, to your point, like what's the word I'm looking for? Meaning, I guess, right? That it stays consistent.
Why would they, to stay consistent with the reasons to believe? The RTB.
The RTBs.
I just learned something.
A marketer out of you, man.
I know. I just learned something. Joe, we got to talk a bit about social media because my brain and social media, I just don't know. How are people supposed to handle that?
Well, everybody is on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
You talk about like, gosh, when, back in the day, when we were growing up, you know what I mean?
Social media was my bicycle. Like, so I just don't like, it's so rough, man.
Well, we relied on like the TV, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like we relied on the TV, we relied on like friends who would show up with like these cool, whatever it is. And you're like, oh, I want that, whereas now it's you're inundated.
Yeah.
The minute that you get the phone,
you get lost in the crowd. You get lost in the crowd, and also it is so hard to keep up. I tried to do TikTok. I just can't do it. I tried to even do Twitter, and I was like, geez, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So I'm basically Facebook and Instagram, and I'm still trying to figure those out.
Yeah.
And then it'll change. By the time I figure something out, it's going to change anyway. But it is so important. And I remember when actually I was trying to build a website and we were on the phone and you said something. I thought I heard 30 seconds, but you just told me 6. Guys, this is very key. Joe, how fast do you need to catch someone's eye in today's world?
I mean, they say it's like between 6 and 7 seconds.
6 or 7 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you think about like even yourself, right? You go on and you're flipping through, right? You know what I mean? You are scrolling. And if there's something that just doesn't catch your, you're on to the next. It's very intimidating.
Wow.
It's very intimidating. And I can understand somebody that is just trying to get their foot, wet, their toe wet. You're like, holy shit, where do I start? But again, go back to your plan, right?
Your RTBs.
Have a plan.
Yeah.
Be consistent, right?
How often should people be posting? Because I can make campaign emails. This is actually separate, but I only pay for like 3 a month. And because in my opinion, I don't like being bombarded by emails. So I just assume nobody else does.
Yeah.
But then I hear people say, oh no, Courtney, we don't get enough emails from you.
Yeah.
Like, what? Who wants a lot of emails? And then the same with posting, like just a picture. How often should people be doing that kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, I think you have to establish like your your benchmarks, right? Like, too much posting, like, should you be posting multiple times a day? Probably not, right? Weekly, yes, I would say on a week to week basis, but how we kind of, the rule of thumb for us at least, is we look at what are the days, and you can do this on Facebook, right? If you have a Facebook page, you can go in and see where your like peaks. Are
Yeah.
there certain days that you're getting more people looking at your posts than others, right? So think of it that way, right? Establish your
Right.
benchmark. I've got a benchmark line. That doesn't mean you can't post on other days either. If
Right.
there's something that you need to get out,
Yeah.
right? If you're, I don't know, releasing a new, product, if you're, releasing a new service, if you have an announcement to make.
Do it at those peak times that they're looking at you.
Yeah, definitely. You want to keep that in mind. Like, I'll tell you, like, we know from what I've worked on, like, Tuesdays and Thursdays
Yeah, I've heard that too.
are really key, right? And it kind of makes sense, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
Monday,
yeah.
it's like people
Yeah.
are they're getting their mindset around, like, I got to go
Right.
back to the job. Like,
Right.
Tuesday, all right, I'm into the work week,
Right.
and Thursday, it's kind of like, all right, end of the work week, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of funny how that
Yeah.
works.
I noticed
Um,
that as well, but I
mhm,
never, so I noticed it, but then I never like did anything about it. Like I didn't go,
mhm,
I didn't, because what I'm hearing too is making a very conscious game plan, a very deliberate course of action that you have to
mhm,
take. Like I said, I noticed that. I read
mhm,
it. Wow,
mhm,
those are the stats. And then I just left it there because I
mhm,
just, you know, but that's very much of the game plan. Like, okay, no,
mhm,
Courtney, and whoever else might be hearing this, if your
mhm,
peak day is Friday, do it on
mhm.
Friday. You know what I mean? If your peak
Yes.
day is and it's so because it goes back and it's so hard about the competition thing. It really is, but it is a part of our life. But it also, I do have to say, I also don't mind competition because it's what makes economic thrive.
Mhm,
I should not be the ultimate stars of the morning light that I'm the only resource. Nobody
mhm,
else should be the ultimate only resource. So it's like
mhm.
competition is really healthy,
Yes.
but then at the same time, it's so hard when you're trying to do this to have to look at all this stuff because it can become defeating. It can become um, too much from
Yeah.
their logo and they're posting this and wow, they know technology like the back of their hand.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, especially for all of us that are pulling side hustles together or trying to, revamp, recreate this whole new you, this whole new
Right.
self, this whole new
Right. Right.
product world. Because a lot of people also, wow, they had more time on their hands. I'm going to start making candles that I always wanted to do, or I'm going to start doing this. And so this is all new to them as well.
Mhm.
Um, remember, guys, 6 to 7 seconds. So it's, I, and it makes my head like I almost stop breathing when I say that. Um,
Mhm.
Meaning it's got to be flashy. It's got to be or something that's appealing to make people stop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's the day and age we live in. It just is reality. And I will say, Courtney, like, you learn from your competition too.
okay.
Knowledge is power, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So looking at your
We
competition,
just read that yesterday with Tote the Atlantean on Emerald Tablets Revealed. Knowledge is power, and power is knowledge. One is this. One is with each one, and no better than the whole. However you put it. So yeah, yeah, it
yeah,
is. I've never
use
thought
it.
of it that way.
Use it. Use it. It doesn't mean you have to do the exact same thing, but
Right.
maybe it sparks an idea of like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
cool, but it got me thinking maybe I could do it this way,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. As long as you're sticking to your principles, your RTBs, reasons to believe. I think that's the biggest thing I pulled away right now. And so my mind is kind of like, Courtney, have you truly told them why they're lovely human beings? That's what my brain's like, Joe, I gotta start telling the world they're the most beautiful. Um, what would be your top like 5 things to focus on if you are trying to either rebrand yourself or get your branding going? Just the quick bullet point top 5.
Yeah. I would say have a plan, obviously, right? Be consistent. Look at your marketplace, competition, trends.
Trends.
Yep. You want to look at those too. Yep.
Trends.
And think about, interaction with your customer, right? That could be, anything from polls that you want to put out,
Whoa.
from people that, are your customer, have purchased your product or your service, or maybe, have looked at your page and, but just not gotten, taken that next step. Like, you definitely want feedback from them too, because that's how you continue to grow as well and build that relationship.
Nice. Yeah, build the relationship.
Yeah.
What's one more thing, JoJo?
Oh, goodness.
Hey, can I talk real quick?
Yeah.
Cost. You know about the money that goes into stuff like this.
Oh yeah.
So that is going to be your 5th thing. Let me tell you, because it does cost money.
It does.
And if you need money, hey,
free.
Moon Manifesting class, guys, it's the last chance in July for Moon Manifesting 101 and 102. If you need money to start up your new branding, come see me. I'm cheap, so you can succeed. That's how it works with Courtney. That's one of my RTBs. I'm cheap, so you can succeed.
Yes.
I need to write that down.
Yes.
Anyways, so cost, how much average wise time invested should you put aside for like a side hustle to build weekly? Time and cost. What are we thinking?
I mean, that's hard. That's a hard thing to answer. Because, I work on budgets that are
way bigger. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
my
I mean,
website, Joe, I'll tell you, my website costs like 300, let's say about $400 a year.
Yep.
Of course, Instagram and Facebook don't cost anything unless you have to promote.
Right. Unless you're promoting and
then you tag it on and tack it on. Okay.
Right.
So, but you can kind of put like a bar on it. Like, I'm only spending $80 this month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I will say, like everyone knows, you're gonna get the basics out of me graphically and this and that because I don't have the computer system stuff. So you got to think, if you want to do pretty pictures, if you want to catch people's eyes in 6 or 7 seconds, that's probably going to cost you some kind of computer system to work with.
Oh yeah, a program.
A program, I mean. Yeah, program.
You have to get familiar with, like, InDesign or Photoshop, right? Like, I will tell you, Canva.
Yeah.
It is a, actually, I learned that from our bestie.
Yes, I know. She loves it.
She loves it. You can do some simple things on it.
Yeah, and it's beautiful stuff. Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah, I tried working with it and I was like, geez, I don't even know what I'm doing with. I tell everyone that watches Stars of the Morning Light, if you're new, welcome. We love you. We adore you. You are a star. Thank you. Hit that like, subscribe. But everyone that knows me, I like almost every third video, I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it, or maybe not. Like, I just, it's because it's so much. So I
Yeah.
think for me, it is time, it is money, it is resources, and it is definitely, I think, stick with like one format or something
Yes.
until you really get it.
Yes.
Like, I
I
have
would,
no idea what's really happening on Instagram, but I'm gonna learn it
yes,
one day,
yes,
and then I'll move on to something else. Or I will finally be able to wrap my head around a full, like, pretty graphic machine system program to do. Yeah, I think that's what it is too, is like maybe not jump around so much, get really good at one.
yes. You can think of it that way for sure because, I think you can use different platforms for different things, right? I mean, that's how we kind of like attack it in my world with,
Right.
things that we're marketing. Um, we utilize Facebook to be a little bit more
Across the board.
well, it's, we put out like more information about our products, like more details around like
Oh, right. Because
technical
people might
things.
actually read it.
Yeah, and then Instagram is something where it's like people want to see pretty pictures of our
Right.
product,
Or a
right?
little
Like,
film or something. Yeah.
right. So when you think of it in that way, in that sense too, right? Depending on that platform is going to define what kind of information you're putting out. So you
So
can look at it that
smart.
way too. Yeah.
So beautiful. So smart. So intelligent. Such a star.
Oh,
Joe, I have
girl.
to ask you, what everybody usually gets this at the beginning. I'm happy we're doing this at the end.
Oof.
What would be a definition for you of a spiritual awakening or awakening, however you want to phrase it? You can take a minute.
That's um
Do you think you
that's a
had
that's
one, Joe? Let's start there. Do you think you had one or any?
I
Or
think I've probably had a couple. And I think I'm still trying to understand, you know, what my spiritual awakening truly is. Um, and I will tell you, it was not being in a situation of pure happiness.
yeah, right.
It actually came from a very dark place of
Yeah,
grief,
yeah, right.
sadness.
So when I first told Joe here when we were behind the scenes, I said, I'm going to ask you this question, Joe. And you first said, well, I think it's to be open. What
Hmm.
were you going to say then? And then I said, no, 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 hold it, hold it. So
Yeah.
what were you going to say?
I think for me, it's being open to, I'm not a religious person.
I know.
You know this, Courtney. I've never been a religious person. I
Right.
was baptized. I went to Sunday school. I love my mama for that, but um, I'm not religious. I think it's just being open to the fact that there are things in your life that you will never understand, um, and being okay with that. But having the confidence to know that we are not, we're not, we are not alone. We aren't we aren't the only beings here. When I mean in that physical sense, that there is something higher. I'm not saying God. There is definitely something higher.
Yeah.
And it's a feeling. It's oh, it's giving me like goosebumps right now just talking about this.
Yeah.
It's emotion, it's all of that. when you look at it around you, the instant connections sometimes that you have with people in your life that you just don't understand why. Like, it's all of that to me is the spiritual awakening that connects every one of us.
Oh,
You can't deny that.
ding, 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 ding. I
You
love it.
can't deny that. In
No,
my mind, you can't. You
yeah,
can try and say it doesn't exist. You can try and, turn your eye to it. It's there. It's just accepting that, I
yeah.
think,
And
right?
yeah, and maybe having your eyes open to it, you know, the willingness to just maybe have the eyes open a little bit of, okay, am I, in 70% of my day, I might not see this
Right.
because I am looking at those spreadsheets and all those numbers and, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But I'll take those 10 minutes to just consciously have my eyes open. Yeah.
Yes. To things that you
Yeah.
cannot see,
Yeah.
but are there.
But are there. Exactly.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, lady. I'm so glad that we got a chance to do this.
Yeah, I don't know what made me think of it, ladies and gentlemen, but I went, people need to know how to approach this stuff from resume to everything. I mean, guys, go back and listen to this. It's very valuable information. And I'm still like every time learning stuff. And I love it. I love people learning from each other, sharing our skills, talents, and abilities. I just love it. I
Yeah.
adore it more than anything. Um, I adore you too, Miss Joe. And so thank you all for watching. Um, take what you can from this. Start forming a plan. Start looking at your resume. One page, guys. It's back down to just one simple page. Highlight your character. Really, it's all about character. From
Yep.
branding yourself, it's all about your reasons to believe.
Yes. The
Ah,
value that you're bringing, right?
yeah, yeah.
We
So
all have it.
we all have it.
Yes.
See
We
why I
all,
love her, guys. We all have it. All right, everyone. We love you. We adore you. Shine on, you beautiful stars. Bye. Namaste.
bye, honey.